Hi, my name is Kelly Frantz-Langford, and this is my EDL 851 Mod 1 project, my introduction video to you guys, and I'm hoping to incorporate some of the strategies from our readings this week. As an introduction to me, I'll start with a brief overview of Tiny K, because I have spent all of my career in Tiny K. Tiny K in Kansas is the special education program for children from birth to 3 years old. It's different because instead of children coming to us for services, our therapists and teachers go out into homes, child care, anywhere in the community where the child is during the day, and we work to incorporate interventions within everyday routines and activities. We have 2 learners, so of course the child that qualifies for our program and all of those intervention strategies that go along with that. But we also have a second learner, and that is the parent or the caregiver. And that is just as important because they are the ones that are going to be embedding those strategies into the child's everyday routines and activities. My master's degree is in early childhood special ed with additional graduate credit hours in autism spectrum disorders. I was very fortunate to begin my work straight out of grad school with TARC's Tiny K program, and I'm a Greenbush employee. I was hired as an early childhood special education teacher, and I did that for 6 years. And then I was hired as the assistant director for TARC Children's Services, and I have been in that position for the last 9 years. One of the programs under my watch is TARC's Tiny K program. We are the 3rd largest Tiny K network, and we served over 900 children last year. We also have 4 other programs that I'm responsible for, and all of those programs are centered around helping families with disabilities and functioning and supporting them to live their best lives. My professional activities right now include my work with the Tiny K Alliance. The Alliance is the advocacy group for Tiny K programs, and we work to advocate both for funding and policy for all Tiny K networks. And I am currently serving as the president of that organization. I am also very excited to begin work with the Early Childhood Advisory Panel under the Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund. That work begins this month and will include information into policy and other initiatives across the state that impact young children. As you can see, I have a great stake in childhood experiences across Kansas. This is my family. The picture on the left is about 2 years old, but the most recent professional photo we have. The picture on the right is a recent family photo. Our oldest will turn 18 on Friday and will be going to KU in the fall. Our middle guy is 15 and he will be a sophomore in high school. And our youngest is 6 and will begin kindergarten this year. I'm very invested in having a collaborative culture, and I know as part of the leadership team that it's my responsibility to ensure that that happens. So we have looked very closely over the years about how to develop and foster that type of culture within our department. One of the things that we took on last year was to work on a positive behavior support plan in the sense that we really looked at our values and our mission and vision for TARC and how that works within our department. Once we had those values outlined, we then had everybody do some individual goals, some team goal setting, and some department-wide goal setting in order to come up with the actions that match those values. And so we can really look at, what are the things that we do every day that contributes to a positive environment and a collaborative environment. One of the things that I know can make or break a program is staff. And we're very fortunate that we have a really great team. And not only do we have a really great team, but our turnover is fairly low in our program. Those teams are really a support for staff members, and a good team culture can really be a buffer to some of the challenges that you can see out in the field. Another thing is that we have flexible schedules, and as administrators, we make sure that we are supporting our staff and taking their time. But not only that, in Tiny K, because we are working with young children and trying to look at interventions within routines, we don't have the conventional school hours that that schools do. And so because of that, our schedule can look different day to day. And so we also encourage our staff to really look at making time for their own families and their own things that bring them joy through the day, and making sure that there's a healthy work-home balance. As far as well-being, those things definitely contribute to well-being as well. But we looked at, we use something called facilitating attuned interactions, and it's a process where, as a provider, you look at where your own mindset is before, during, and after a visit. And you also look at the caregiver that you're working with, kind of where they are, as far as if they're working through a more emotional moment, if they're really problem solving, if they're reflecting. And by identifying where they are, you have a better opportunity to match and make improvements within that state of mind. We have a very strong mentoring program as we bring new staff in. I think that really helps that first year when they're within our program. Most of our therapists and teachers come in as experts within their field. So a physical therapist is ready to go with physical therapy. But in early intervention, there are a lot of other pieces as far as working with families and working within the routines and daily activities. It's very different than working in a clinic where most of our people are trained. We also work on team building. We try to make sure we have some opportunities throughout the year to really just have fun, to laugh, to let loose, and to get to know each other as people and not just always as coworkers. And we are always learning. In fact, that's one of the things that I talk about when we're interviewing candidates, is that we really want team members that value reflection and see themselves as lifelong learners, because this field is ever changing and ever growing. And we know that to be the best, we have to grow as well. We also believe that mistakes are part of the process and that we learn from them. So we know that everybody's going to make mistakes, including us, and we just figure out what the next step will be. Having a healthy and effective professional culture is obviously extremely important to me. Just looking at some of the strategies that I discussed earlier, I think all of those things, hiring people that enjoy collaboration, enjoy learning, believe in reflection, all help to contribute to a healthy and effective professional culture. We talk a lot about, as staff members go out into the field, we know that they have to build relationships with the families that they're working with. In early intervention, relationships are everything. And so even though sometimes we have staff that are excellent at building those relationships with parents, it's interesting because we also have to remember to have that same type of mindset with each other, because our relationships within our program are extremely valuable and can make an employee's experience either healthy and productive, or it can make an employee want to look for another job. Within relationships, once you have a positive relationship, trust begins to build. I do think trust can be an activity. It's not a all or nothing sort of thing, in that sometimes you will have a bump in the road with somebody. And so going back to our FAN training, our Facilitating Attuned Interactions training, we know that if we have an interaction that didn't go well, that we need to reflect on it and think about how to repair that going forward. So we really do work hard to have a healthy and effective professional culture. These are the references that I used as influence on this module. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to getting to know all of you.